previous Zoom recording, so we are relaunching this, and it is also being live streamed on YouTube at the same time. So at this time, I just wanted to introduce the moderator. The moderator is Lyric Brown. So at this time, I would like to turn it over to Lyric. And it looks like he's having some trouble joining. So while we wait for Lyric to join the call, I just wanted to go over a couple of ground rules. This is an opportunity for Dr. Baker to make the case to the public as to why he should be the next mayor for the city of South Fulton. We just ask that the public be respectful of the candidate, as well as the candidate be respectful of the public and everybody else. So while we wait for Lyric, um, there he is. And Lyric, I just introduced Dr. Baker, so I'm going to turn it over to you. You have the floor. Take it away, sir. You're on mute.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, how y'all doing today? And how you doing today, Dr. Mark Baker? You there, Dr. Mark Baker?
There we go.
All
I was
right,
muted. I was trying to give you the universal.
there you go. Well, how are you doing today?
Doing well. Doing
That's
well.
good.
Thank you so
That's
much.
good. Let's dive right on in. For those that do not know who Dr. Mark Baker is, can you give us just a little bit of who you are, Dr. Mark Baker?
So generally speaking, because when we did this the first time, I think I probably gave you more than what you wanted. But
there's never more than what we want. Let's just
okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much to the South Fulton Coalition for having me. Thank you so much, Mr. Brown, for hosting, and everyone who has a part or a hand or role to play in this opportunity to be before you again. And I'm apologizing in advance if I don't answer every question the exact way that I may have done last time for those who are re-listening. But I can promise you that it will be the truth, just restated in a different way, probably. But my name is Mark Baker. I am a 21 plus year, at least 21 year resident of the city of South Fulton, Georgia. I am originally from the west side of Chicago, Illinois. Came to South Fulton by way of being a student in the city of Atlanta. I attended Dillard University in New Orleans for undergrad, and my mentor at the time, Patricia Moore, who was my professor at Dillard, ended up recommending me to Clark Atlanta's criminal justice program for graduate school. And I attended CAU for my master's degree directly after graduating Dillard University. While I was at CAU, I was in SGA because I used to go back and forth with the law enforcement, putting boots on our cars a lot on campus. Chief AJ White wanted me to be a part of what he called an up and out program, where he took me and someone who was graduating undergrad. There was a movement for more Black police chiefs in the late 90s, and he wanted me to be a part of his up and out program, a program that would get me post certified through Fulton County Police Department. And within a short period of time, I would get all of these training opportunities where it would actually edify me and build me to prepare me for a life of law enforcement. And years in, I became the sergeant of Clark Atlanta's police department and shift supervisor. And I have trained several officers in law enforcement. I was actually sergeant when Brian Nichols did what he did at the county. But I realized those were things that I did way before, just from these recent forums that have been refreshing me through questions. But ultimately, I spent my last 10 years of law enforcement as a Fulton County police officer or resource officer in Fulton County schools, where I had the opportunity to be around many of the young people who are helping me right now with this campaign and others in the past, because I was known to them as Officer Baker or OB during that time. These were people who lived in my immediate neighborhood, who I would see when I let my garage up and go to work in the morning, and they would be waiting on the bus, and I would see them 15 minutes later at the school. So I was actually community policing, and that's why I have this rapport with my community. Whereas when we became a city in 2017, I was elected to be our city's first District 7 council member. In between those gaps, as a police officer, I also worked at Clark Atlanta, being a professor. I taught current issues in African American studies while I was still working at Fulton County Schools, and I became the first male professor of women's studies at Clark Atlanta University. But being a legislator was the route of, after the 72 people ran for 8 spots in South Fulton. And while in South Fulton, I had the opportunity to pass some of the most progressive legislation in our region. To list just a few: Georgia First, which is abolishing Columbus Day for Indigenous People Day, which we celebrated last week, Monday. Also, the first out of 535 municipalities, and only to this day in the state of Georgia, to end no-knock warrants when Breonna Taylor was killed due to a no-knock warrant being served. I wrote the first reparations legislation in the state of Georgia. And since then, DeKalb County just recently created their task force. Shortly after mine, Fulton County did the same thing with creating a task force. So I've been putting out a lot of progressive legislation that has become infectious, and people would follow, or legislatively, follow the lead that I've set with decriminalizing cannabis back in like 2018, when we were starting out and people were letting us know that, hey, if you do this, you won't be reelected. But I did an education campaign to our seniors, especially, and everybody in our city, letting them know that it was not just an attempt to decriminalize cannabis. I don't smoke. I never smoked. But it was more to decriminalize poverty. And 90% of the people in Fulton County Jail look like me, look like their uncles, aunties, and brothers. They just didn't have the $1,000 to get out of jail, and these things would impact us heavily when it comes to college applications for financial aid and places to live and things of that nature. So, I mean, the Central Park 5 legislation as well, which also, protected our juveniles. But I'll put a pin in my legislative work, but I just want you to know in general who I am as an individual, as a legislator, how I was on council, why I was also mayor pro tem consecutively until we actually changed the law. But legislatively, I ended up being tapped in 2020, 2021 due to the work that I've done to run for U.S. Congress. And I did that twice and successfully came within 6% of a runoff with David Scott, who's a juggernaut and has been our congressman for so long. So it's just an ode to the work that I've been doing that has received national attention and locally as well. And that's who I am, I think, overall in a snapshot. Outside of being a family man, a father, to 2 great kids as well. My son, Mark Jr., is a freshman at Howard. My daughter, Marley Baker, is a freshman at Woodward Academy. Yeah.
So, I'm gonna dive right in.
Yeah.
Being of everything that you spoke was definitely law enforcement. You've been heavy into law enforcement, protecting, serving, as well as being a family man, protecting, serving. So I want to ask this question. Due to some violence that is in the city of South Fulton, how would you tackle that task as getting the city of South Fulton at a peaceful place where people can go about within the city and enjoy themselves without having to worry about certain things. As you know, there was a shooting in Camelot just recently as well, and it's been a lot dealing in Camelot as well. But we're not going to speak so much as Camelot, but the city itself. How would you tackle some of those issues?
I think that we have to continue the groundwork of infrastructure that we've done in our city back during the 5+ years I was in city council. I think that some of the work was foundational to what we actually see right now. Right, we became a city and we dealt with law enforcement issues prior to um, response time being up to 2 hours plus from Fulton County. Like understanding that South Fulton was everything that was uh, that became a city. It was everything south of I-20 that wasn't incorporated. And Fulton County Police responded to this large area. Uh, as a council member, I pushed forward a beat study to actually understand and get a scope of how many beats we had in Fulton County when in the city of South Fulton once we transitioned from Fulton County over. Um, so we would know how to gauge our law enforcement approach. Um, while I've never been a chief, I do know that a beat is, just the area where the police officers would patrol. Uh, and our beat study hadn't been revised since 1970, right? So that means everything in our city that didn't exist prior to 1970, all of these subdivisions with new homes built in the 90s and the early 2000s, um, like mine, it wasn't like there were trees literally across the street from me before we opened up this 1,200 plus home subdivision. And so there was no acknowledgement of all of these residents and the density now that exists in South Fulton. So we actually did that study and got that back, and we started building and growing. And I know you can tell the difference uh, in the multitude of our police department. And everywhere you go, you see one of those gray trucks or gray cars in the yellow dashed on it. But it's just a lot that we had to do infrastructure wise first. But primarily it starts at the top, right? So I think that we've had an issue lately because we don't have a police chief. So I would think that I would pray that we would resolve this issue before I'm elected mayor, God willing, so that we can move things forward with our police department. We have a police chief that has been on leave, I'll say, pending whatever investigation we're choosing to do by our city manager and mayor and council. But he's been on leave since July, and I don't know how much this investigatory process is being prioritized, but he's getting paid handsomely, I'll say. $18,000 a month. It should be known, yeah, that he's getting, and he's been getting for a vacation since July.
Wow.
So I think that we have to start there. I know that we requested things to be incentivized for officers to come to our city. I think it took about 25 officers at a time to become from uh, signing an application to the process of becoming post certified and field trained uh, to the streets. It took, I think we could only do 25 per year max. So we were trying to get in officers from other jurisdictions, of course, those people with impeccable backgrounds to serve you guys, ultimately our city.
Speaking of our city, there was a project that was put into play a while back, and it was called the Mensa Park Project. Could you tell more about that? Is that still on its way? What's going on with that?
So I think last time you asked that, I had something that I was able to show.
Mhm.
I probably don't have it right now, but I think the biggest thing is this Mansa Park, and probably the reason you're asking me that is because I did I am the the author of the legislation that was used to activate the Development Authority as well as our city's Urban Redevelopment Authority. I was, after writing that legislation, I was actually unanimously appointed to serve and represent our council. Only one person could serve and represent our council on the Development Authority, and I was chosen. And the Development Authority, they elected me to be the chairperson. And I think Mansa Park was our second or third project. Our first project was actually Dr. McCoy's building that sits on Old National, right past Creel Road, if you're coming from 138 on Old National down towards College Park. And that was our first project. Our second project, I believe, was Mansa Park, where we did legislation from our city council in order to amplify the Old National Corridor and bring business. There was a developer who came from the Bay Area to purchase land in our city in District 4, where his ancestors were once enslaved. And that developer met with then our economic development director, advising that he built Hyatt hotels. So I was introduced to him. We ended up learning more about his ability and his history with Hyatt, and the deliverable on the land next to Old National Park was supposed to be at least one Hyatt style hotel. The City of South Fulton, they deeded over 74 acres of property that was considered Old National Park to the Development Authority for this Hyatt hotel. From that moment, the developer ended up purchasing 20 plus additional acres and revising just one Hyatt hotel into what you're speaking of as Mansa Park. Mansa Park is a large project now that was actually en route to the city when I was leaving. And it's my understanding that, our development authority was dismantled and kind of on a hiatus until they reappointed board members and it became somewhat contentious, but ultimately people came back and the project came back. As recent as February, it's my understanding that there was $100,000 from that developers group to our development authority. Of course, we had a lot of things that were supposed to be deliverables, which were enhancements to Old National Park and several other things, lights for Christmas, so we can have we can ride underneath the lights annually. I had a situation that we linked from, I believe, the UK, where we would get their lights from last year. And since they renew them, we would get them really, really inexpensive annually, so we can ride underneath the lights. And Old National will become an attraction ultimately during the holiday season. And this was all a part of that number that he's supposed to give us annually. But nothing was supposed to be built until we had all of our deliverables first. And this was a project that inside of the contract, he also had to deal with developers and sub contractors who were typically excluded, to allow our money to circulate and to give people an opportunity who wouldn't normally have an opportunity to be a part of projects like this. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna try to see if I could pull this, because this is, I think, am I allowed to share a screen?
Yeah.
Okay, it says that the host disabled. Can you disable it and I could actually share it?
Try it now, Dr. Bailey.
Enable it? Okay. Okay, can you see that?
Not yet.
Okay.
Look like it's something coming through though.
Okay, let's see.
There we go.
You guys have it up? Because I can't see it.
Yep, it's up now.
Okay, so this project is Mansa Park, and this is the project as recently sent to me by Hamilton Homes. Hamilton Homes is, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, Hamilton Homes is one of the architects assigned to the project. And of course, his father was Hamilton E. Holmes, that exit off 20. And this was, one of the architects that we had, an expectation of, having some people involved of color and keeping kind of like what Maynard Jackson was doing in Atlanta possible. We have several contracts in the city, and only 11% of those contracts in the city have gone to Black people. So I was happy to find out that Hamilton Homes is a part of this. But this is the project, and the way that it goes is the enhancements to Old National Park is supposed to be multiple hotels, a Hyatt, Hilton, and a convention center space. But I don't know all of the details. But this was actually downsized, from my understanding, as of the last meeting with the development authority. And a lot of people have seen this or renderings of it because it's currently with ARC. The process was started by Butler and his group, and they brought it to the city of South Fulton recently, I think around March again. And whenever there's projects of this magnitude that come to our city's planning department, they have to recommend them or send them over to the Atlanta Regional Commission, and this is where it is now. And they're waiting for the approval of the ARC. And they actually put this on the news recently because they were letting everybody know about this project coming to our city. And this is currently with the ARC. So we're hoping that it will come. And everything has been done. Everything has been vetted. All of the money has been paid for that person to actually own the property. There was no default in checks or any of that stuff. The development authority got money and should have a larger budget since I left, because inside of this project, I think we had about over $500,000 go to the development authority outside of the purchase of this. I mean, $300,000 plus the purchase price, but I don't know all of the details. But the development authority is currently running and functioning, and they're in communication with this developer, and it should be on its way.
Okay. Another question I had for you as well. Well, you are running for mayor. There are so many things that's going on right now within side of the council board, the council members. How would you go about making sure, like things like Mensa Park and other type of visions that you might have? I know your hands might be a little tied within that, but how can you go about working with your council if elected?
Well, I look forward to working with the council. First of all, I have good knowledge, great knowledge of a lot of those people, and it's my understanding one of them in particular is going away to run for commissioner. There are also other members who have endorsed me that are currently on council, at least two, overtly. And I believe that ultimately I have the ability uh, to stabilize, our city council, to bring civility and stability moving forward. I think that there was a lot of dissension, and we've seen a lot play out in the media. We've been a punchline for some time, and again, this is a council with institutional knowledge. I was the person that was elected consecutively while everybody voted for Bill Edwards at the time to be our mayor. Um, our council consecutively voted for me to be our mayor pro tem. Uh, and it was one of those things where, if you've seen how our council could be in public, try to imagine what it would be behind closed doors in executive session, dealing with issues of real estate, personnel, and litigation. It gets extremely contentious, and I've been the person that they've had to or they would oftentimes call on to say, hey, help Mark, get your boy, Mark, get your girl, Mark, Mark, tell him this, And so I would actually use probably part of my uh, old police tactics of verbal judo, I'd say, in order to de-escalate us often and get us back on track, even when the mayor couldn't. But I would just say this: I would be ecstatic to work with some of the new people. We're possibly having, there's a possibility of having 3 new people, and I already said I do have a couple of people on council who are not just endorsing me, but endorsing me publicly and overtly. So I believe that we'd have an opportunity to have a new start with our city and relaunch our potential.
Okay. As far as a new start, I would love to know what was the reason, because you've been council. You was on the council seat for quite some time. You've passed a lot of legislations and different things like that. Why mayor now?
Why mayor now?
Why did you leave the first time from the?
Oh, yeah, I like that. Thank
So,
you for that. I
yeah.
left, like I said, there was a situation where during the riots and during the events of 2020,
Mhm.
there was a big push from Campaign Zero, right? If you're
Okay.
not familiar with Campaign Zero, they were the organization that actually had legislative demands and wanted return on their investment in our elected officials. There were huge pushes for people who were elected to actually change some of these laws in order to make our community better than what it was, or we can stop being victims of police brutality and things of that nature. And I was one who actually passed most of that legislation. So I was actually simply being a council member when I passed hashtag 8 can't wait. Those were 8, and you can research 8 can't wait, hashtag 8 can't wait. Those were the direct uh, 8 items or 8 pieces of legislation that Campaign Zero wanted elected officials to be held responsible for changing, and I, without hesitation, changed them. These were things like a duty to intervene by police officers, uh, the duty to de-escalate, um, and the duty to write concise reports. All of this stuff that came out of things that happened in 2020. We shut down Old National for a Father's March after George Floyd was killed, and all of these things I was right on front line, front and center, not just pontificating on council about what we can do to change, but actually legislatively doing my job. And from a national level, especially after writing the first reparations legislation in Georgia, I was tapped because we, at that time, and actually still now, uh, David Scott was really, really conservative to be a Democrat legislatively. As recently as a couple of weeks ago, he was one of 4 that is getting Congress people who are getting national attention as Democrats for voting for the Charlie Kirk Memorial. So out of the 4 Democrats, he was one. So people wanted a change, and they felt that it would be new and good energy focused legislation if I was there. And so those people tapped me and they supported my campaign, and I ran. And the second run came within 6%, as I said earlier. And I think that I understood why they did it, and that's why I stepped away, my willingness to serve. Just like when I wasn't running, people asked me to come back because our city is a punchline now, and they need leadership, and I should have run for mayor the first time, and all of that. So I'm back, but I'm back also not just as the person who tried to bring economic development to our city and progressive legislation, but as someone who now has resources throughout the state of Georgia, because I ran in Gwinnett, Henry County, Clayton County, DeKalb, uh, in Newton County, Rockdale. So I have so many people that I've met who are uh, in leadership roles throughout the state of Georgia that can help us actually with best practices and resources moving forward. Whereas we don't have to continue to try to reinvent the wheel. We can only say that we're a new city and we're just getting our bearings for so long. It's been 8 years. And at 8 years, you are actually in fourth grade if you're a person. If you're a young kid and you're in fourth grade, we know what the fourth grade failure syndrome looks like. And we do know what happens. The plan for our city normally would happen. And it's happening because the reality is people now see our potential. Even if we don't see it, other people see it. Other people in the state see it. And there's people who are saying now that we've proven to be so valuable. We had, I think, a $16 million tax anticipation note when we started the city, and I was the only person to vote against it because I thought that it should come from a bank in our city so we can start our dollars circulating in our city. And nobody else on council voted against receiving money from Iberia Bank in Louisiana when we had Citizens Trust. And then we had several other institutions at the time that we could have got that tax anticipation note. Nonetheless, um, our budget is still growing. We're still proving ourselves to be financially astute. And it's not because our council, it's because our residents. You know, we have residents who do well, do amazing. They make a lot of money. They have solid families, a higher education rate than the city of Atlanta. And there's so much potential in our city, and we could squander it. And we have a charter that people would love to revoke now, knowing that our budget has gone from 16 million to 32 million and upwards now to the point where it's, I mean, 32, 64 million and now $431 million. And only we can mess this up. And if we kept things exactly the same, I think we probably would. So that's why I say that it's a time right now, and it's a pivotal time right now that we get this right, or we could actually fail from reaching our potential.
And going off what you said, pretty much we can't mess it up. The city can't mess it up, but we have all this money coming in and things like that, and it just has to work, right? Um, I'm gonna dive in and say, what do you feel about the forensic audits?
Dr. Baker, before you answer that, Lyric, let me get a question after he's finished answering.
All right, got you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Dr. Baker.
Well, I think that, right, if you listen to everybody on council, and if you don't have a short memory,
Mhm.
I think that it's important to understand that everybody talked about transparency in during their elections. And now we have a situation where nobody wants to be transparent. I think that everybody is. So our mayor gave us reason to question certain things that transpired, right? But I don't know why we wouldn't investigate everybody and why we wouldn't do a forensic audit. I think that to have it done on one person um, is egregious. I think that that's something that the citizens have asked for, and to remove it from an agenda like it was the last council meeting by someone who wants to run for commissioner uh, uh, over our area is really scary. And that to use the terms that is removed indefinitely is even a bigger problem, because we're elected officials. And if I wanted to bring it up, if I'm a council person, next meeting, if the mayor allows it on the agenda, it's on the agenda. We can't remove something indefinitely. Like those are the issues and problems that are going on right now in our federal government, where it's like we had rules, but now we don't have them, and we're just actually acquiescing to what people say when we know that it's not right and we know that it's not okay. So, to the short answer is, I think undoubtedly that we should have a forensic audit, and I don't think that it's something that I should say, hey, that's going to be the first thing on my list as mayor, because I think that it should happen way before I'm elected. It's just October.
Gotcha. And you said you had a question, Rashad?
Yeah, so there's a question from the chat, and I'm going to read the question. It's a little lengthy. The mayor's role is restricted in regards to the duties and responsibilities per section 3.22 of the charter. Do you have a plan as mayor to establish I'm sorry. Do you have a plan as mayor to establish a mayoral powers type of government, considering the fact that the council passes legislative policies and ordinances and the mayor does not?
It's a great question, and I understand why it's asked. Let me just say that. It would be the obvious answer for me running for mayor to say, yeah, I want you to, I want it to be a strong mayor form of government. I just think that there's been so much work done and so much thought into creating our city, right? Whereas the people on the state level who actually worked on our charter and helped us get it passed, they created this system the way they didn't create it, but they issued the system to us uh, because it works. And to be radically honest, the city manager form of government works. I've been on council and I've watched it work. Um, my history, right? I could supervise police officers. I can teach classes on current issues in African American studies, introduction to women's studies. I can do the things that's within my wheelhouse. I could write legislation too. I could also be a leader on several different, fronts. But when it comes to department heads of Parks and Rec, uh, code enforcement, economic development, all of the department heads, HR, should not report directly to me when we could have a SME or subject matter expert that's appointed by the mayor and approved by the council to actually have those department heads report to. Now, as mayor and council, that city manager works and reports directly to us as a council. I think it works. However, I believe that those individuals who wrote our charter had no idea that there was no way for them to anticipate a council that we currently have, and the dissension that's causing the chaos that we currently have as well. Um, there's 7 council people, and there's 4 is a majority. 5 is a super majority, and I think that those are things that could actually work under a normal council. I'll just say our council now isn't normal, clearly.
Back to you, Lyric.
All right. Now I know we spoke also about land, and I know we have a lot of undeveloped land in the city of South Fulton. What do you feel about a lot of that land where they're building warehouses and data centers? What is your take on that? Do you think there's a need for it or not? You're talking about the data system that pulls a lot of electric current throughout the whole thing, and you have warehouses being built within a community. What is your take on that?
Several takes. I don't even know where to start, because when you start talking about our community, I think about uh, the mayor that we actually got rid of initially. We had on 2 fronts. We tried to impeach him because of nefarious actions. He didn't vote for us to become a city when he was on the commission, and then the voters actually impeached him by not voting for him again. He was the person in charge of our area when he was on the county commission, and a lot of the things that we see that we had no hand or no role in can point back to decisions that he made as a commissioner. Now, when I look at current situations with the data centers and warehouses, it's actually embarrassing to have $500,000 homes next to warehouses and now data centers. And there's so many things that happen wrong throughout that process. Because when I think about the data center, I think about Greystone, who, when we were on the council, we actually gave them a 30-year contract. And I bet you they knew that data centers were en route to our area. And I think that's something that needs to be revisited as well. But I think that when we have these data centers, right, they shouldn't be in the middle of our community. If anything, they should be in an industrial corridor, mainly FIB, Fulton Industrial Boulevard. And we should actually know the land that's available on Fulton Industrial if we are accepting them. And I want to come back to the if we are accepting them, they should go there, because we should actually know where that is. Instead of putting all of this money into the headquarters, like we're talking about doing on 138 in Old National, we should find the land on FIB and own some of that land. And if we own some of that land, there's ways to addressing the warehouse system. Like, for example, we can legislate a lot of the warehouse people who are actually attracted to our area and come in on a regular because they see how attractive we are, by writing ordinance that, or smart legislation, by saying, okay, we're going to make you warehouse person go green, meaning you're going to have an eco-friendly warehouse. If we put it in our ordinances, you'd have to oblige us. And if it's too expensive, you will go somewhere else. When it comes to the data centers, if we own some of the land, we could actually have the new generation batteries that I'm hearing of and I'm reading about currently, that we can have our own grid and it could be eco-friendly as well. Whereas these things, we would have to definitely deal with Greystone. But there are ways to tell people where they should go. But I think this bothering me and making me want to just let you guys know, the bigger thing is our county, once again, is selling us out, because our county had land in our city where they are leasing to these data centers, right? Through their development authority. And so if they're leasing land and being landlords to these data centers, they're giving them breaks and incentives that we don't even see money of. We don't see any money from those data centers that are coming to our city, and Fulton County Development Authority, they do. And they're landlords to those people. And if we watch where it was in District 3, there's so much that's happening right now. You should also pay attention to the money and candidates who go from council to the commissioner's race as well, because they actually have that governance and that rapport with those data centers for a reason. And when the data center comes to our city, I mean, of course, like there's so many things that come along with it: the water issues, the electricity issues, and the impact on the residents. Yes, we can charge them impact fees, but it's not enough compared to what I think we've lost about $173 million in what we can get. And so if we even write out legislation to say, because they're considered customers when they're actually tenants. So if IBM owns this small space inside of a data center for storage, they're considered a tenant. If we had the opportunity to legislate where they would actually have to pay us as a municipality, just like they're a tenant, just like we're tenants in places, and make them be a business within that, we could actually see the funds. But I think that people are selling us out. They're selling our land out, and we're having these big eyesores because the governor actually vetoed it back in February. And I don't think that we can actually do anything about that until 2033. And if anybody is really interested, please go back to research this stuff. When it comes to 2033, just like your cell phone, right? My cell phone is, I don't know, my daughter has a better one than me, but this used to be everything I can do on this cell phone was the magnitude of the fat back computers back in the day, right? And if you recall those fat back computers back in the day, that were huge, We can actually do all of this stuff on our cell phone that we could use that for. And so just like that, our data centers are going to be left behind eyesores like the big fat back computers, because right now they need all of that space. And as technology advances, everything gets smaller and more concise. And now we don't need those big eyesores, and we won't be able to use the water unless we do what I mentioned on Fulton Industrial, or do something where we can control it and have renewable resources through it, whether it's electricity or the renewable wastewater that we could actually use for cooling systems and things of that nature. We won't be as affected, but the reality of it is this South Fulton and our region is actually the #1 place where people are entertaining data centers. It used to be Virginia, but now it's here. And we have to watch the money, pay attention to what's happening in our area, and do whatever we can to make sure that if anything that we don't want is coming to our city, we stand up as citizens and residents and direct it where we want it to go, legislate ourselves out of the issue, and move forward that way, because those are the things that we have in our toolbox as a municipality.
All right,
As you
thank you
spoke,
for
you got
thank you for that, Lyric. I just want to get these two questions.
oh,
So the first question is going to come from Danielle Kennedy. Ms. Kennedy, you should be able to unmute yourself. You have the floor. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to piggyback off of what you were saying about the warehouses and data centers, because it is a really hot topic. So, and you're the only candidate that has proposed, creating barriers to entry for those data centers and warehouses, or for those companies that want to bring them here. And so can you talk a little bit more about what that process looks like? So do you as mayor draft that legislation, the council passes it? What what role does the development authority play? What does that look like in practice?
So if Fulton County has land within South Fulton, and their development authority takes that land and allows a data center to lease it from it, do a land lease within the property that they own on our property, that's what it looks like. And I think that those are those type of issues. When I say legislate our way out of some of those things, I mean, when I talking about warehouses, this is a thing that we've been talking about for years, since the inception of our city, and how we don't want them, and if we do want them, we want to tell them where to go. And it's like the amplification of these warehouses, we can curb them several ways. I think early on, when we were a city, we would write a moratorium, right, on warehouses in certain areas to kind of allow us to get footing and grounded on what's to come. And again, dealing with properties and property owners that have rights. We have rights as legislators, and as a mayor, I can't vote, but having an open rapport with council and encouraging legislation that council can vote on, and I can present it to the council, and we can actually vote then, to have this type of legislation written. Whereas if we wanted an eco-friendly city, and we put it that any warehouses that were coming have to have solar, this and that, or whatever we want to say in our legislation to mandate it for them, they would have to either agree that this is what they'll do to make it eco-friendly for us and our environment, or find somewhere else to take it. That's what I mean by legislate our way out of it.
Thank you for that. And the next question comes from Patricia. Please unmute yourself. You have the floor. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
yes,
Yes.
good evening to you.
Hi, Dr. Baker. The mayor has left his choice for the Charter Commission seat vacant. Will you fill it? And what do you believe would be the qualifications needed for that seat?
I would want to fill any seat that we can that's available to be filled, including that seat. And I would also say that it should be filled by someone who is politically astute as well as someone who understands law. Uh, uh, there would be a great deal of research required and fortitude when it comes to a seat like that or a position like that. So I would love to have someone who would want to serve pro bono for our city who at least has a law background.
No. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And I have a question for you. So with our ethics board, there was a change made where you have to be an attorney to serve on the ethics board. Do you think you should have to be an attorney? And do you think that that law should be repealed?
I think it should be repealed. Um, some attorneys are the least ethical people in our society. And I just think that, it's important to be a good person, genuinely good person. Uh, Not necessarily a nice person, but a good person. Nice people give you what you want and they allow you to, coexist with them because it's the friendly and nice thing to do. But I'd rather have just good people on that board because that's more important when ethics situations arise in our city. And we've had a lot, and they've been playing with that board for some time. And I think the more we operate in the gray area without that board functioning at a high capacity, you'll have people who feel like they can do things without any results or any consequences coming their way. So I think that yes, we need to revisit and it should be repealed and it shouldn't be necessary. Albeit I love uh, my good brother from Autumn Lake subdivision who served. His name is leaving me right now, but I don't think you should have to be an attorney. You should have the solid moral fabric to serve on an ethics board. That's all should be required.
Thank you for that. Now, Patricia, back to you. You should be able to unmute yourself. You have the floor.
Thank you again. Thank you. Recently, well, not recently, the last few years, HOA reform has picked up a lot of momentum at the Senate and the House, at the Capitol. Will you support HOA reform? Should it pass? Should it some ordinance? I'm not sure how it can get to the city council if it comes to the table.
Undoubtedly. Undoubtedly, this is stuff that's been going on before we were a municipality. And if something doesn't change at the state level, we're going to have a lot of chaos. I actually was a couple minutes late to a HOA meeting, and I found people in the parking lot last week, literally in tears. I held a lady who couldn't even speak to me without crying on my shoulder, literally crying tears because of things that our HOA board has been doing and the gray area over our head of actually moving forward and getting control of our board again. I believe that there is some work in progress, but and I would undoubtedly and without hesitation support it. I have spoken to my state senator, Mr. Rashawn Kemp, and I am actually having him at our subdivision. This is not a political event. This was because somebody literally cried on my shoulders last week. Tomorrow evening at I'll share this address because I think that at first it was just for Oakley Township community. However, I feel like people should at least be able to come and hear what the senator has to say in reference to legislation that could be in the pipeline to address some of these hardships that our community face when it comes to HOA and the boards and the mismanagement of funds and actually trying to restore rights to properly have a quorum and not. But it's going to be at the Veterans Foreign Wars Post 6449 or VFW Post 6449 at located at 1669 Park Road, Fairburn, Georgia, 30213. Tomorrow, Senator Kemp will be there. I will be there just because I am of the community. But I did call, and he is coming, and I am very grateful for him on short notice to come. And this is for residents in our city. We don't want to overwhelm him, because I know that he's thinking that there's one particular community. But if you guys had a rep that you could send, just to actually digest the information and report back, so we can move forward when they need us at the Capitol. Like, we can't just take our situations, because no problem is a problem until it's your problem. We have to actually come together before that and be on deck when he's needed to help push something forward. Just like in the city, when there's something going wrong, or a council person is not willing to vote a certain way, the people need to know who these people are, so we can actually, hold them accountable in order to move forward for vying for the things that we want to see. But I would, yes, support all of that legislation that's in favor of control within the residents and the community.
All right, back to you, Lyric.
You spoke about, of course, the people. I had a question that came in from a citizen. How do you feel about um, public chat being disabled?
I think that it's egregious on several fronts. I think that it's egregious. I think that when I was on council, uh, the city was just formed. We had, like I said, 72 people running for 8 offices, and none of them took their ball and went home. They stayed there. They held us accountable. The line went out of the door, and everybody got their 2 minutes, and we had to sit there and listen through it all and take in what was being said and make corrections, or they would be there at the next council meeting. I think it's one of those things that it's a problem when you want to be the voice of people and you don't want to hear their voices. So that's something that I believe, and I think that people need to know. Our District 6 council person currently passed that legislation. I don't know why it was actually upheld and voted upon in the affirmative, but I think that that's something that should change. I would be for changing it. I would recommend overtly that we change it. Like, how can you step up to be a public servant and not want to hear the people you serve? I think it's also egregious that we can only talk to those items that are on the agenda. I think that people who attend council meetings and take away from their children, their families, their work to come and hear or vie for a situation that's favorable to them or unfavorable, and it's not on the agenda, but we know that it should be. How would you know that we feel like something should be on the agenda if we can't speak on things until they're on the agenda? It's like you've already made the decision for us, and now you're just going to talk and vote it up or down. It's almost the same as the warehouses. Many people say these warehouse, the data centers were already agreed upon, and it was just like an education campaign that this is coming, and you're just supposed to accept it. That's the same thing it can't be the same thing with all things that are on the agenda that are prepared for us. It's egregious. It's no way it should happen. I think that people from outside of our city, if they're there early, if it's overwhelming, we could probably cut it to a certain amount, because we want to put our residents first. But I believe that there's some concessions that could be made. I'm freestyling, but there's some concessions that should be made to allow people outside of our jurisdiction to actually be able to speak at public comment as well. If we say we want to build relationships and we have issues on the with Union City, for example, or Fairburn. If a resident from Fairburn can't come, or Union City can't come and speak to issues that affect them, what if they did the same thing to us? And you guys say you want us to actually build these relationships and be bridge builders. I think that is vital to allow people to speak on how things that we're doing in our municipality may impact our surrounding municipalities as well. So, I'm proud to hear that there's a citizen driven movement to push this forward. And if when I'm elected mayor, I will definitely bring that to the forefront in favor of removing those restrictions.
All right, so since we're on this topic, I've heard two different perspectives on the live chat piece. So the mayor was saying that he used the live chat to understand how the citizens felt about issues, but I've also heard city council say that the live chat was a distraction. So while you were on council, did you feel it was a distraction, or was it beneficial to you to help you move through the meeting?
Not at all. It wasn't a distraction to me because one, I was in the meeting in real time. So if you're in the meeting in real time and listening to what's going on or listening to the people who are speaking in front of you, how do you have time to be watching a live chat? Because you're in the meeting in real time. So I think that that's something that wouldn't distract me because that's for them. If they want to pontificate about how they feel about how we're governing ourselves, that's fine. But I'm on council in real time making the decisions for the people. I don't have time to say, I can't believe this person in district whatever said this. So I think that, like I said, we have to actually refocus and kind of understand that we are the people, if elected, to be representing our city, and we can't allow ourselves to be distracted or say that even some of this stuff can distract us. That shows that we're not focused in the first place.
All right, thank you for that. And we have a question from the audience from Nonprofits United International. If you can state your name and your question, please unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Jill.
Good afternoon, Jill.
Hey, everyone. This question is Dr. Baker. I have a question. I'm going to take you back. I want to know if you remember any of the items when the city was first developed. When you and Councilman Khalid and Councilman Rosie Jackson was on council. Do you remember any item that was denied from District 1, 2, 3, and 4 regarding Old National?
There were several from my understanding, and I think that was part of why we ultimately became known, even if it was known as a majority. They started calling us a gang, a gang of four, or a gang of five, which is a majority, and again, a super majority. But I believe that there were several things when it came to amplifying the Old National Corridor, from sidewalks, starting there, right?
Yeah.
So these things that we were looking to build or do when it came to trying to make Old National a downtown, I think was one of the contingencies too. I think that we had people who supported it, at least two people, right? Because we were only three representing Old National, and I only have a small slither of Old National.
Right.
District 7 only touches Old National from Beseda Road to 138. That's like a snapshot of Old National. But it was my position that Old National was one of two in the possible corridors in our city. Fulton Industrial, Old National, and possibly Camp Creek, if we put the work there and if the people in the district actually put infrastructure in place. That could be. The potential is amazing there. And after 8 years, we haven't moved forward there. But I think that my focus wasn't about, hey, we just love Old National, we have to do X, Y, and Z. Whereas we did have people who was Old National. We had people, hey, I was born on Old National, and all of those things. But the reality is, Old National was a business corridor. And we have 80% of our tax dollars coming from our residents. So it's not about Old National as in how much I just love this street. It's more about, look, this is where our financial potential is.
Right.
Everything is super crowded on Fulton Industrial right now. There's potential on Old National. We're 7 minutes max from the world's busiest airport, and people were watching, and they're still watching, and they're looking at us at how attractive we are. Not directly here, because we don't see it the same way, because we just get caught up into the infighting and we lose respect for what we actually have. Sometimes it takes somebody else to show you what is dynamic about what you have, you know? And I think that those people who are sitting again on in the Starbucks across the country looking at our land and our proximity to the airport, and they're seeing this corridor and saying what it could ultimately be, and they're looking at how inexpensive everything is. And we are just sitting and allowing it to fester in a negative way. And I thought that my colleagues could understand that more and say, we need to bring development, we need to bring resources, because we have to get out of the pockets of our residents.
Okay.
And
Now,
that ultimately became a gang violence.
okay. So my thing is, my concern is over here on Old National is I'm seeing all of these campaign signs from District 2 and Bill Edwards and everything. And my thing is this: you haven't everything that Old National when you guys were in council, they voted against it. Can't nobody tell me what you've done for the Old National Corridor. And we have the biggest corridor because we have 3 council members. So my thing is, how do you feel for that about the people that have come over here and put up all their signs in every direction, but have blocked you in the beginning when you were counsel with Khalid and Rosie Jackson?
I think our voters have to be intelligent. They have to be smart, right? You can't let people play in your face. I know if you start down Old National, and again, when I say start down Old National and work your way back up, I can show you everything, meaning work-wise, that I've actually had a hand in directly and overtly from the 138 and Old National corner that was District 7, where this new police and fire training center, public safety facility is slated to be. There was a developer, I won't say his name, but we actually didn't like each other at all, because I used to ask him, would you want what you're proposing in our district next to your house? And West Road is right there. And I don't know if anybody's ever driven down West Road, but West Road is an amazing, peaceful area with houses that are really, really expensive. And that corner is probably the most refreshing corner of our city. It sits right across the street from the mansion that everybody across the world knows as Holyfield's and now Rick Ross's. And this developer wanted to build a storage facility. And I actually went back and forth with him saying, can we do something that would be better than that? This area deserves it, and so do the residents. And ultimately, he wanted to sue the city. He had property rights. He owned property, and we understood that. And, actually, after conversing for a long time with him and going back and forth, I got him with the city, and he ended up selling his property to the city as opposed to building that storage facility. And that is exactly where we are moving at headquarters. That was once across the street at the Ingalls building, or slated to be at the Ingalls building, until myself and Amelia Walker, who was our attorney at the time, we conversed about the possibility of breaking that lease, where we were paying upwards of $22,000 a month for our police headquarters to be inside of an old grocery store, the old Ingalls store that became a club and something else, where people would have probably taken us as a joke. But we got out of that deal because of COVID, the natural disasters clause that our brilliant attorney allowed us to use to get out of it. And I think that moving down again, that building that the mayor, actually our current mayor, acknowledged me in the State of the City address, the doctor's facility that was never completed, the yellow building next to Jackson Music that never was finished in the inside. It was a beautiful structure 8 years ago. I tried to have our credit union there. I wanted to do whatever we could. I had a whole thing where I wanted professionals, and we met and we tried to create our own credit union in South Fulton, where our churches, Old National has several churches, from Woods Memorial, Creflo Dollar's World Changes. And can you imagine the opportunity of them being a part of this own credit union, having an opportunity where your grandmother, who spends her money every Sunday, or not spends it, but may give it or put it in a basket, and when you need a loan, you can't go to that bank because it's Wells Fargo or Bank of America that all of those churches bank with. You can't get a loan, but all of your money is going into that. So I was trying to get a credit union for South Fulton, encouraging businesses to all bank at that credit union. And we went through a long process. There were several people across the district. Lise Fisher was our secretary, and she's in District 4. It wasn't about Old National. It was about the opportunity. But that building now that I was trying to have to be the credit union is now, will now be the home to our courts. But I pushed that over and over in executive session to try to own that building. Found out who owned the building, a young man from New Orleans named Fred. I got cool with Fred. I went to Dillard University in New Orleans, and we actually kept that building on the table. And now that building will be our new courts. If you go further down past Creel Road on the right, the building that we currently use for the courts is that first building owned by Dr. McCoy that is now currently used for courts, but that was the first building that we built under my leadership as chairman of the Development Authority with Dr. McCoy. A building, might I add, that because I learned 2 weeks before it was time to vote that Dr. McCoy was my children's doctor. My children's dentist. And once I learned that, when it came up for us to vote as a council, I let it be known that I had to abstain from this vote because this guy is my children's dentist. Something that people aren't doing on city council right now, when people can speak at campaign events and then go forward and override the mayor's veto, making that motion to do that when it's already unanimous. Abstaining after he spoke at someone's campaign meeting would have been the proper thing to do. I digress, but that building is there because of the work that I did as chairman of the Development Authority. But moving forward, even down there, these were so many things that we have. We just showed you Mansa Park. I could go on and on about the ideas, and I guess what my appeal to people is look at the work that I've done. Go to markbakerformayor.com. Outside of the legislative work, look at the economic development interests that I had in the city to relieve you of tax burdens as constituents. And we need a mayor who's a visionary. And I guess what I'm saying is, as a visionary, I have a vision that I believe I can make infectious on council by listening, understanding that listening is a part of the conversation. And when I have people who are on this side of town, who probably never been back to this side of town, vying for your support, I just ask that we don't have a short-term memory and we remember the things that happened during this inception that were never amplified because of some of the division that we would be clear of. We'll be clear of come January, because with your help, I could actually be the new mayor. That gives us another seat. That's 2 seats that will be clear out of the gate because someone is leaving to run for commissioner, follow the money. And then there's somebody else who won't be the District 2 council person anymore. And I am really, really grateful that people have stepped up to run in those other districts. I see their campaign. I think that everybody that's listening to the sound of my voice should take looks at these campaigns and the things that they're doing and the things that they've done, and give these candidates with fresh sound and vision and opportunity, when it comes to the things that we've done. Like we have a District 6 race up, and we've lost things on Old National in that area over the past 4 years as opposed to gains. We've lost a Walgreens on Old National. We're losing a CVS. And so some people aren't leaving things better than they once were.
Thank you so much for that. Now, we do have a question in the chat, and then we have a live question. So I'm going to get this question in the chat, and then we'll go to you, Patricia. So the question is, are there any new business adventures coming towards the potential Highway 29 Roosevelt Highway upward development to make it better? If you need to read that in the chat, you can.
Well, I don't, because it's vital to understand that I haven't been on city council for 3 years. So the development that would be coming there, I wouldn't be privy to it. The things regarding those business ventures are probably in executive session when it comes to those things that are sensitive, because when you're dealing with real estate, right, you don't want to let people publicly know what your intentions are, because now if you want something, they can raise the price. So those are things that aren't typically discussed publicly, and I haven't been privy to that information in executive session because I've been off council.
Thank you for that. Now, the next question comes from Patricia. Please unmute yourself. You have the floor.
Hey, thanks again. Thanks again. Hey, this is more of a comment. Quick, I'll make it fast. Dr. Baker, you've been on city council. You're running for mayor. I know you know the charter, and I know you know all of the, I hate to use the word BS, that has gone on that we've seen at city council meetings on the TV. I've been on TV, you know, everything that's going on. I do have a question. I want to know how you are going to be able to not only embrace what you know you're already getting ready to get into, and then how you are going to be able to facilitate holding down your role as mayor and utilizing the duties and responsibilities that are afforded to you. I think there's like 12 of them, so that we can move this city forward from what we've have suffered from. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think that I would start by best answering that question, letting you know what the vision is, which is part answer to another question I saw that just popped up in the chat that kind of asked the same thing that you did. I would start by a 90-day review. This 90-day review would be vital. It would be across all departments in our city. And while I know and have working knowledge that I can't come in and say, hey, here's a 90-day review, and I need to be able to come back and see it in the next night. I have to work with mayor. I have to work as mayor with the council and the city manager to actually edify them again as an elected from the people that would be elected by all of the people within the city. The job that you guys want me to do is to let them know that there's an issue when it comes to civility. There's an issue when it comes to retention. There's an issue when it comes to transparency. And we need to have, hopefully the audit is already done by that time. But if it's not, that will be a part of it as well. But we need to actually have a 90-day review, actually looking at the procedures, the policies that are currently in place, the performance and the effectiveness of those things, and the solutions to those things, actually streamlining those with employees and our residents as well, to move forward to see what are the best solutions or what are ways that we can change the things that we need to make as a municipality, and being completely overt and transparent with our residents, sharing that 90-day review. I think that when we do that, we have an opportunity to get on one track, right? Or the same page. And I would also think that we need a campaign with our council when I say the campaign with our council is coming together, listening. You know, as I said, listening is a part of the conversation. There are people who have grievances with one another. There's people who have grievances with the way things have been run in the city. We need to hear them. People need to be heard, right? We need to know if they're representing you, those issues. And we need to actually all refocus. And my plan would be to run that positivity campaign of branding of our city. As an ambassador, I understand what the mayor's position is, and I believe that I do have the ability to reach it to our neighboring cities and actually re-amplify all of the potential that our city has, because I believe that it's been clouded through some of the foolishness. And when we understand those solutions and put them in place, when we get things like open checkbook up to our city and running, I did mention this in the forum that we need to have open checkbook like Atlanta, actual system where people can see all of the transactions with P cards, just like you can when you go to Chase or Bank of America and you swipe your card. It's a digitized system that you could actually see what was done. Those P cards belong to you and me. And there's no reason that that information can't be uploaded and we can't watch it. And if there's an issue, we could actually learn, okay, why was this spent the way that we feel like it should not have been spent? We can directly communicate with those elected officials and be on one page and completely be transparent if that's what we really want to do. But that's where I start. I don't want to go far into the details because I believe that there's several things that we have to get under control when it comes to our city. I think that our police department is probably the first one, and I hope that it's something that is done. But if not, we will definitely rectify that situation, because either we're going to move forward with our chief or we're going to move forward with somebody else. But to just pay somebody $18,000 a month continuously without, making a decision and moving forward is not what I'm okay with.
All right, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Now we have a question in the chat, and that question is, what is the single quality about you that makes you the best candidate to lead the city of South Fulton? After this, we'll go to the question from Danielle Kennedy.
I'm a good man. I might have mentioned that earlier, but I'm a good man. The single quality is that. I hear sometimes that I don't smile a lot. My eyes are low and it look like I'm not looking. But there's a lot of things that I've heard about my disposition. Even when I was on the Diz, it's like, I remember clearly one time Senator James doing this to me. But I guess when you have things that are going on that you might have some knowledge about, like I will always do the thing that I feel within my moral fabric as being the right thing to do. If it's something that you don't like, we have to take our lick. But I'm going to actually make sound judgments and do it as a good man would do. I'm a man of principle. I'm a man of love, life, loyalty, wisdom, and understanding. And I carry all of that throughout my daily lives and my daily events. And I will be unapologetically that person on a regular basis. Now, when you ask that, I think also there's some people who actually appreciate that. And when you appreciate that, being good becomes infectious. There's a theory of by Cooley, the looking glass self theory, when he says that we need to when people see themselves the way others see them, it's kind of like, a mirroring effect. And I believe that if that becomes infectious, it will change the trajectory of our city. It will change the trajectory of our council and the way we view one another. If I believe that it will change our moral fabric, which is kind of like the same thing I talk about when dealing with smart development and our growth of a city and how we deal with what do we call it? Affordable housing. I think that we can't just have an element that exists and just fill it all one way with one population. I believe that a third should be people with affordable housing, right? So that the broken windows theory gets changed or reversed. You know, normally you see a broken window, somebody will pick up a rock and just throw it in the window and continue to do that, right? And I just feel like when you think it's okay, other people will think it's okay too. But when you actually carry yourself different, that type of personality and that type of moral fabric will become infectious. And that third of the people who are living in that area now, they don't want to just throw their trash out the window, or they just don't want to vote for a certain way because they want to be cool with a developer, or they don't want to just do certain things because they see it and it becomes a mirror of that leadership. And I believe that I will definitely listen. I believe that I will utilize my verbal judo skills as a former police officer. I believe that I'll be able to de-escalate a lot of things and use my charm and wit as well to actually get us all on one page, refocus us, and again, just relaunch our potential.
Thank you so much for that. Now I'm going to turn it over to Danielle Kennedy. You should be able to unmute yourself. You have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. So my question is around what you were saying about, attracting and bringing back the top talent into the city. In my mind, people, until we turn our reputation around, people are not going to want to work for the city. But would you advocate for whistleblower protections written into our employment policies so that people trust that if they want to do the right thing, they will not be retaliated against, and they'll have protections not only from the state, but from the city
Yeah, I think that's
written into?
yeah.
Go ahead.
I agree with that, but I disagree with your first statement. I don't think that people won't want to do business with us solely because of that. You can go to Old National right now, and there will be a Chinese restaurant, amazing food. They don't care to learn your name. They don't care if you 1 penny short. They want it. They're going to come to our community. They're going to come to us because we're attractive. They're going to be there. They're going to stay there, and they're going to take our money as long as we allow them to, even if they have to stand behind a bulletproof glass to do it. So that has never been an issue with our community and our ability to actually attract people to come to our community, right? But I also believe that I do understand what you're saying. I believe that once our image is changed, once our image is altered, once people stop looking at us as a punchline, we'd have those opportunities. And when I say that, I mean the economic development people who are bringing big business to places, they'll come where the money is, but the quality of the development won't necessarily come where the chaos is. And so we have to actually find a way to present ourselves different, because that's the first thing, right? And once we're presenting ourselves as a business, as a city that's ready for business, that's ready to use our development authority in a way that's not nefarious at all, but incentivizing the businesses that we want that are here in our area, our immediate area.
My
Not
question was
necessarily
more
in
so
Africa. I'm saying they're like the average business, and I want you to hear the not necessarily in Africa component of this, because the average business, when it relocates, it goes within a 10-mile radius from where it is already. We have a lot of business that is right in the Atlanta metro area within 10 miles of us that can actually come here. And it's studies that show that we have it, but we have to stop contributing as customers to other people's algorithms. I used to tell people who would come to Old National and go to the Walmart, they would come there, they would see we don't have something, and then they would take the drive to Fayetteville, cursing and running out of the door. When all you have to do is request certain things, like say you want the organic bananas, and they don't have organic bananas, and you just go to Fayetteville because they have what you're looking for. We contribute then to their algorithms where they will always have the things that we want, and we're taking it outside of our city, whereas all we have to do is actually take an extra minute and say, hey, tap the produce department and say, hey, I want organic bananas. And there's numbers and algorithms that actually say, okay, that's one request. And as those requests build up, the demand meets the supply. And we can have the things that we want. And the moment we actually prove ourselves to want those certain things and to create and we're willing to actually give our revenue to generate those things in our city, we'll have those things that other cities have, that we go to them to get. And I believe that as long as we have great ambassadors and a great development authority, incentivizing right, and actually, trying to bring community relationships and community benefits, we'll be on the right track. And a lot of this stuff is happening right now because of you. Our budget is growing, not because we're so great as leaders, but because of you. Like, our citizens do amazing in this area. Everybody came to Atlanta to actually grow, right? And Atlanta has grown all the way out of what we call its concentric zone. And the study that I talk about often that started in 1920s by Parks and Burgess. It's called the ecology theory, or the concentric zone theory, that touts the growth of a city. When everybody moves to a city, they go to the central business district, or the CBD. And when they're at the CBD, it grows based off concentric zones, or like a flower from the inside outward. And the concentric zone starts with the CBD, or central business district. And then the second ring would be the transit zone. And that transit zone is when you get a job in the new city and you just live close to your job, close to that business district. And as you become acclimated, you live in what is considered the commuter zone. That commuter zone is what we've become, because still to this day, the majority of people, I believe, leave South Fulton and drive to Atlanta for work. And when we come home to our commuter zone, where there's more sense of community, right? Where there's more people who you agree with, you're around on a regular, and you take and build relationships with. You end up having these relationships that grow, and you foster a sense of community more so. And as you go out to more commuter zones, that's when we build a city, right? Because of that likeness in that area. And that's what South Fulton has become. That commuter zone that has now built its own city. And now it's time for us to build our own CBD, or central business district. And it has to be on one of those business corridors. 80% comes from you, 20% comes from business. We have to switch that number.
Thank you so much. Now, Ms. Kennedy, did you have a follow-up question?
I just wanted to clarify, but I appreciate that answer, because I am interested in that as well. My question was really just related to cities, or the employees of the city of South Fulton, in terms of the talent coming into the city of South Fulton as employees.
Yeah, and I think that we have to do a better job, to your point, of retaining employees that are amazing. If you read some of the exit interviews, the retaliatory practices have actually landed us in several lawsuits. Oftentimes because council people overstep their boundaries, because these people report to the city, to their directors first, and then the city manager. So I don't think there should be any retaliation towards people who want to actually speak truth to their experience in our city. Of course, we have to be level with it as well, and make sure that it stands up to be true. But I believe that in many cases in our past, we've struggled to retain great employees because of what you mentioned. And I would hope, if I'm mayor, because I've met some of those employees who were amazing, who would be on autopilot right now, actually, with all of the resources that we currently have. Like these, These employees started this city with a cell phone and built to what it is, and were chased off and ran away by a lot of people on council. And now it's like, I would love for some of those employees to come back. I'll just leave it there. And I would have wished that we had safer policies in place, to your point, to allow those individuals to speak to their grievances and be protected and not face retaliatory action. But I would undoubtedly support that being in legislation.
Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
that. Thank you so much for that. Now, we have a question from the chat, and then I'm gonna turn it back over to Lyric to finish out your questions and then go into closing remarks. So the question from the chat is, what will you do to address rising property taxes?
So I don't want to be redundant, and I don't know if that question came after hearing the works that I've done. I think that we have to, again, flip the switch on the 20/80 percentage. I believe that once we have our bearings when it comes to public safety, well, first, our city in a cohesive council, then public safety, right? Public safety is a forerunner to that economic development in order to lift that tax burden. That tax burden won't be lifted unless we have businesses in our city that we could actually charge, with these warehouses that we could actually charge, the data centers that we can stop our county from allowing to be landlords to, and swiping us at the legs from funding. Then we'll have that opportunity. I think that the moment public safety changes, businesses will be enticed to come. They'll feel safe. We already have proven ourselves to be viable. And like I said, if you can have people with smaller business who will risk life and limb to come in their communities behind a fiberglass or bulletproof window to serve us, the moment we create things to be safe, everybody else will come as well. But I think the economic development will do that. And I think that it starts with us not being a joke, us actually setting the standard for what professional is, and digesting that it's essential at all times and moving forward from there.
Thank you. Now back to you, Lyric, for you to finish out your questions, and then we can go on to closing remarks.
Well, I had one question that popped up. You somewhat answered it to me, but we had a question that was saying why are there so many beauty supply stores on Old National and liquor stores? And would you change the appearance of that? I know you spoke about the being attractive, and making sure that Old National has that people are attracted to. Do you think those beauty supply stores, so many of them, and so many other different businesses that's right there by each other on the Old National Corridor, do you think they need to be there? You think it helps?
It doesn't. And I think that this is a question that many of us know the answer to. No. So when I was serving, my daughter was a couple years younger, and I used to joke saying that sometimes, my daughter never knows what she wants to eat. I could say certain things, and I would say, you want Chick-fil-A? No. You want this? No. You want that? No. She only had a comprehension of what she didn't want. And I would have to present these things. I think that it's up to us as a city to notice the like uses and put those things in legislation and actually say no as a council when it comes, and build those relationships with those individuals who want to bring the same thing to the same area. Those undesirable businesses, there are ways to actually, and I'm just thinking, I'm thinking about the whole corridor, and I'm seeing tire shops, and I'm thinking about the things that people don't want to bring their business next to because of the elements and things of that nature. Although we do encourage entrepreneurship and small business, if you have one, we don't need to be putting a competing one right across the street, right? We want different economic development. We want to rid ourselves of eyesores. I think our code enforcement department can help with a lot of that by mandating that the bare minimum is done. You know, if it's something in code enforcement that says that your property is supposed to be clean and they're on them and they're fining them, not just giving them warnings every time, like actual fines, companies will start to do the right thing. If we say that your parking lines are supposed to be fresh in this color or whatever is in the code, we need to actually move those things forward aggressively and demand that they do it as businesses in our city. We can't just allow people to think that they can just give us the same thing over and over. And I think that the biggest thing is it can't continue to be that way because people won't bring the businesses that we actually desire. And as a council, like when I was a councilman, I actually, for example, the example I gave with the developer, like let's sit down, let's figure out what it is that we can do actually that would be beneficial to you and to our community. These people don't want these things in their neighborhood and they don't deal with it. We can really be the Alpharetta and Sandy Springs of the South Side if we started denying it and actually built the way that we could with people around who have these great ideas and innovation and businesses that people will actually advocate for and embrace if they were if they were trajected to come to our area.
All right. Well, this is like my last question. Do we have anything from the chat? That's it, Sherrod?
Yes, I believe we do. Oh, actually, no, we don't.
No, no more questions.
No more questions.
All right. So, Mark, I'm gonna ask this last closing out. What give the people, the listeners right now, the viewers, a vision, a real nice vision of what it looks like having Dr. Mark Baker as mayor of the city of South Fulton. What does that look like?
I see us moving forward with a responsible, with a transparent, and collective vision as a whole council who represents all 7 different districts in our city, but a sound vision for one South Fulton that's cohesive. I see us moving forward with a self-fulfilling prophecy of us doing better, acknowledging that professionalism is essential at all times, and that we're here to serve you as a community and stakeholders, and doing it at a high level. I think realistically, our council, skill of will, hook or crook, is going to be a better council come July. I think that I can be that mayor to actually move it forward, but it's going to be a better council come July. Because if we're being radically honest, we know that there's an element that will be leaving our city that has been responsible for a lot of the chaos that we've had to endure. I think that that element had an opportunity to puppetize some people in battling for personal gain, and we should actually be grateful. And because we have an opportunity to fill 3 seats. We have an opportunity to fill 3 seats, actually 4, when I'm elected. I think that we have an amazing person running in District 6 with an amazing vision. The same thing in District 4. There's 3 people running against an incumbent who, there's 3 people running in District 4, and I can work with any of them, even an incumbent. I went to Citizens University in 2014 and graduated with the incumbent, learning most of the things that I know about city government 11 years ago. But there's potential there. District 2 has a field of candidates that are so amazing that we can probably just lay them across council, you know, in alphabetical order, and we'd have an amazing city. So I'm excited about the potential of District 2 as well. I think that, as I said, I already am endorsed overtly by uh, 2 council people currently, and I think that that's part of the sound quality council that people are requesting. And I think that through my leadership as a former council person, which my job was to legislate.
Dr. Baker, I think you're on mute.
No, he's
We
not.
lost
He's
you.
coming through loud and clear.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think that as a former council person, which my job was to actually write legislation, some of those people who are running, some of those people, 2 of those people who are currently on council, they helped me do research for the legislations that I passed. And I believe that we can all work together cohesive, even if we don't all agree. I think that starting out with deference and a fresh council, our city won't be victim of that 4th grade 8-year-old failure system that happens to children sometimes. I think we'll be able to hit the ground running for our people, like you've wanted us to be, you know, even considering Atlanta has had a 120-year plus head start on us. But we have all of the potential to be exactly what our residents want. And I think that I set a good example as a council member working with my head down. And when I say working with my head down, there came a point when things became contentious that I said, I'm going to just pass progressive, good legislation. I'm going to author it. And if you guys don't vote for it, you're going to just look like you're not good people. And I think that it stopped me from having to have all of the conversations begging people to support something that, you know, they would think that that would earn them a political dollar from me. Meaning I'm going to vote for what they're pushing that I might not agree with because they're voting for what it is. No, I'm not doing that. When you Some of my legislation, to those people who don't know, I abolished Columbus Day, decriminalized cannabis, made $15 a minimum wage, banned the box for convicted felons, activated the Development Authority, activated the Urban Redevelopment Authority, resolution against the 5G towers, which is now the current data center where we're thinking about what is going on or what are the effects of our community based off these things. I made Juneteenth a holiday before the federal government did. I passed the investor harassment ordinance because, again, these people know our potential, even if we don't, and they're sitting and they're watching and they're harassing your mothers and grandmothers who own these houses, and even you, trying to get you to sell your houses. There's many communities which cause issues even with the HOAs because investors own these properties because they see our potential and they know how grand we are. And so I'll do these things, hashtag 8 can't wait, Central Park 5 legislation protecting our juveniles, the Crown Act, ending natural hair discrimination. The work I've done, I believe, will become infectious, and those people on council will strive to serve you in this current time. The work that I did, it served the people during that current time. And it's one of those things that people are going to come together, I believe, under my administration to do sound legislation and to prioritize economic development so we can get out of your pockets as residents, lower what your taxes are, and put it on the business while growing our city and keeping it attractive and keeping us out of the media for negativity, but constantly pushing the positivity. And even if that means revamping what communication looks like in our city, because the negativity should never be found on our city's page about the chaos from our mayor and council and amplifying it. Those are things that shouldn't be on our page, for one. So I think that those are things that we have to actually communicate with the mayor and with our city manager to make sure that the employees who report to him or her don't continue that. So I think that there's a lot of kinks we need to work out, but I believe that our future is extremely bright in South Fulton. I believe that voters are going to get out and do things. I don't think that people are going to constantly let candidates who have jumped up, especially thinking that it's a free for all in South Fulton. The chaos has made people feel like anybody can do this job, and that's not the case. And the long runway to running for mayor has made people feel like because I've been there for 8 years, I'm the best suited for this job, even though I've been the catalyst or puppeteered by the catalyst since the inception. So it's so much stuff that has transpired over the past 8 years that I believe will draw to a close and will come to a screeching halt. And the residents are going to be fulfilled and happy with the council that they vote in. I believe that South Fulton is smart. I believe South Fulton is intelligent. I believe our city knows more about what they have to offer than people think. And we're not going to fall victim to governance that go way beyond just the city council. I'm talking about the infrastructure that's in place at the county that's allowing these data centers to do what they're doing, the infrastructure that's in place at the state that now that we've proven that we're viable, they want to come and take the charter. So they want to perpetuate the chaos. So we're smarter than that. We're going to move to the polls on November 4th. We're going to do what 2 Timothy 2nd chapter 15 verse states, to study to show thyself approved, a workman needed not to be ashamed, rightly divided in the word of truth. And we're going to study and vet the candidates. And I believe that when you do that with me, you're going to see the work that I've done. I believe that when you do that with me, if you live in the districts that we're laddered to, meaning the front part of the North South Fulton area, when you learn of the work that I've done, because our communication department never even let people know, you're going to understand that there's two types of knowledges according to Carter G. Woodson. One that's given to you and the other that you acquired on your own. And of the two, the latter is the greater. And you're going to vote Mark Baker for mayor of the city of South Fulton.
Thank you so much. And I just had one last question that I meant to ask. Have you established any relationships with the county or at the state level?
I have. About a month ago, I was in the governor's office. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not ashamed to say that, because we have to work with those people who, we have to work with everybody. We have to work with everybody, regardless who we feel we disagree with or we don't contend with. We have to work together for the people that we serve. I could feel away all day about things that are voted on in different areas, and I should be able to still be professional to allow the voices of my people to be heard and to vie for the resources and opportunities that our community deserves. So yes, on every level, I have resources. On every level, I have connectivity. I'm proud to say that when I enter the room, I don't have the stench of negativity that has been connected to so many of us because of the chaos. And I'm proud of that. And I can promise that I will actually represent the people of South Fulton in a professional manner, regardless of how I feel. And I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight for everything that can come to our area that we deserve and more, and be a visionary for those things that people don't even see within us.
Thank you so much. That's the last question I had, and I didn't see anything additional in the chat.
All right. Well, citizens of the city of South Fulton, Dr. Mark Baker, possibly Mayor Mark Baker.
Mayor Mark has a nice ring to it.
Doesn't it?
I saw it by mistake on something, but I would definitely receive that.
All right. Well, if that's it, Rashad, you can close us out. And
Yeah, so thank you for that. So tomorrow we will be back. We actually have two candidates tomorrow. The first candidate will be Ryan Olson. He will be at 7 p.m. And then Councilwoman Carmelita Gums will follow him, and she will start around 8:30, 8:35 p.m. And then on Thursday, we have our last mayor candidate, and that is Kelvin Davis. So he will be on Thursday at 7 p.m. So I look forward to seeing everybody back tomorrow, and everyone have a good night. Oh, Dr. Baker.
One thing, just if I'm allowed to, I know
Yes.
you guys have something tomorrow night, but I do want to encourage people to come if you're having issues with your HOA. This has nothing to do with the fact that I am running. This is something that my community asked of me to do at the last minute, and we actually have our state senator who has agreed to do it. So if you have issues with your HOA and you want to know what can be done and you're looking for solutions, please send a surrogate or a representative to tomorrow's meeting with Senator Rashawn Kemp. And so you can move forward and go back to your community and share that information. Also, I will be at Andrea's Seafood on Thursday doing a meet and greet around noon, and I'll be back there the following sometime next week. I'm going to post this, but if you go to markbakerformayor.com, you will be able to see the things that I have coming up. And I see the address of the, oh, my battery died. If this meeting is recorded, correct?
This meeting is recorded.
So the information of where it is, if you can give me a second, I can tell, because I don't want people to not have this opportunity. Give me 1 second.
Dr. Baker, I typed it in the chat for the event tomorrow. There was a flyer that was posted in the chat, and I just took it off of that flyer.
I don't know if he can hear you. You still there, Mark?
Yeah, he's muted.
Oh,
Yes, I was muted. And my video is not allowing me to come back on. I've been trying to come back on since then. But if you've typed it in the chat, that's fine, because I just want everybody to have that opportunity, because it's a problem with a lot of communities. So I yield if I can't be back on, but that was the main thing I wanted people to hear. Tomorrow at 7 p.m.
all right.
Can't come back on video.
Yeah, the host can re-enable your video.
It's okay if you guys are wrapping up. I was just trying to come back and it keeps telling me no.
All right, now, Dr. Baker.
Okay. All right.
We got you.
Yeah, VFW post 6449, Fairburn, Georgia. 1669 Park Road, Fairburn, Georgia, 30213 at 7 p.m.
All right. Do you have any additional comments before we end for the evening?
No, that's it.
All right, and once on behalf of the South Fulton Coalition, I apologize about the issue that happened with the last recording. This video is being live streamed, and it will be available on YouTube on our YouTube channel. So, and we will send you a link to that YouTube channel as well as to your video, so you'll have it tomorrow.
And
So,
please, if possible, please watch whatever was recorded last time, because there was so much because of that I didn't get an opportunity to share that I shared last time. because my answers weren't going to be exactly the same, still truthful, but please share it.
Not a problem.
Thank
And
you.
and that's all we have for today. And I look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow at 7 p.m. for Ryan Olson, followed by Councilwoman Carmelita Gums, and then Kelvin Davis on